there, this is Erica Merrill, and I'm the founder of Perfect Legal Video, and I am very excited about today's topic. We are going to be talking about COVID-19 crimes with attorney Brian Jones out of Ohio. He has a criminal defense firm there. He's been in business for a very long time, and he is going to be telling us about some crimes that could be committed inadvertently. Welcome to the show, Brian. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Eric. It's good to see you again.
Great to see you. So what if myself or my child has, something revealing hanging on the wall, some nudity, something that, might offend somebody? Can you get in trouble with the law for that?
Ohio has a statute called Disseminating Matters Harmful to Juveniles. So if the person who is offended is an adult, that is absolutely their right to be offended, but it doesn't rise to the level of a criminal offense. However, if the person who receives the material is a juvenile, then we move on to a couple of other questions. First, was that material knowingly or recklessly distributed to that juvenile? And second, is that material obscene? Now, what we know from Supreme Court decisions is that basic nudity generally is not described as, or does not rise to the level of obscenity. You would have to really be a graphic and explicit display of the sex organs or a graphic and explicit display of a sex act. So if you had hardcore pornography playing in the background of your video chat and a juvenile were to see that, that would likely rise to the level of a criminal charge. If, on the other hand, you had a Playboy centerfold taped to your wall behind you, I think there would be a very strong argument that that is not obscenity. And even if you knew the juvenile was able to see it, I don't know that it would rise to the level of a criminal offense. The best bet, of course, is to ensure that that sort of material isn't in the background of your Zoom meeting.
Absolutely. Get in the habit of looking around you. And if you don't have a background, like I have a background right now, a virtual background, then, make sure that you have really taken care and looked around, make sure that there's nothing that is going to get you in trouble later that you forgot about. And that is definitely the best advice. The last question I have is, there's a lot of things happening with classrooms right now over Zoom. What if my kid draws something that's inappropriate and the class sees it?
Erica, this idea of Zoom bombing has unfortunately become very popular in this age of COVID quarantine. First, I want to say that it's just inappropriate. You really shouldn't be interrupting people's meetings, school sessions, or Q&A sessions. I've seen a variety of instances where a young man's dissertation was interrupted. A variety of athletes and celebrities have had Q&A sessions interrupted by sexual images and racist statements being written both on the screen and in the chat, and it's just disgusting. Is it a crime? I don't believe that in many instances it's going to rise to the level of criminal activity. Now, there are some exceptions to that. If it's a public meeting, it very well may fall under the disruption of a public meeting statute. If it's a school class, it could fall under violations that prohibit the disruption of those sorts of activities. If it's a student engaging in it during a class, this area of law is wide open now. Typically, schools don't administratively punish the conduct that kids engage in while they're off school property. The big exception to that being college campuses. Now, in the college setting, frequently colleges will administratively punish conduct that occurs off campus. But for high school and younger students, typically schools don't get involved in what happens at home or off of school grounds. But what is school grounds now? with virtual classrooms, Google Hangouts and Zoom being the interaction between students and other students and students and the teacher, this area of law is going to evolve, and it's going to evolve fast. Fortunately, when there are these big changes in environment, children tend to kind of be a little more hesitant and don't engage in that sort of disruptive behavior right at the outset. But as this becomes the new normal, and what we've come to realize is that school is likely not coming back in session for the rest of the year. And will we even have school in the way we traditionally think about it come fall? As kids become more attuned to this and become more accustomed to it, are they going to start engaging in the kind of disruptive behavior that sometimes kids engage in? And the answer to that, Erica, is we don't know. How do you punish something that occurs off of school grounds? It's up in the air. Is the school allowed to do that? We don't know for sure. Most schools, well, all schools have a student handbook. Is this conduct going to be covered by that school's particular student handbook? If the conduct arises to the level of a criminal offense, the school could certainly report it to law enforcement. And then we have, again, questions of, is this interrupting an official school activity? And those things are going to be litigated in the coming months, and we really don't know the answers to that.
Sounds like some new laws might be written in this case.
Absolutely. And that's the reason we are here at my office staying on the cutting edge of this. We're making sure that we read terms of service. We're making sure that we're reviewing student handbooks. And why it's so important that if an officer comes knocking on your door, that you talk to an attorney before you talk to them, because we know what the rules are. And so we can educate you as to what conduct was illegal and what conduct wasn't illegal. Frequently when people come to me, Erica, they've done something that they regret. And it's okay to have that regret. People make mistakes all the time, but not all mistakes are crimes. And that's the reason they need to come to me to talk first, because when they go to the police officer, they say, yeah, I did a bad thing. And the officer interprets that and regurgitates it in the courtroom as the client confessed, the defendant confessed to the crime. When in reality, they were making an acknowledgement that what they did wasn't the appropriate thing. But in reality, it wasn't a crime.
Wow, that you've really given us a lot of food for thought today, and how we should be watching over our children and ourselves during this time when we're at home, when we're just naturally more relaxed when we're at home, and so might not even think of some of these things as a recipe for disaster. But you really brought a lot of great points to light today. We really appreciate your information.
You're welcome, Erica. It's my pleasure.